painting a masterpiece. I'm going to paint you a masterpiece today. What is a masterpiece? Is it something that can be looked up at closely as well as far away? That, in my opinion, is a masterpiece. Now let's apply it when you're talking about a life. Make a masterpiece out of your life. You say, you're seeing Buck. You may have the camera, maybe the camera goes forward and back and that's not close up, far away. You're seeing me far away today. Do you know when you see me close? At home. See, on stage, I'm fine. How's Buck at home? If he's living a masterpiece, he's appreciated at home too. And that's what we want to do. Make a masterpiece out of your life, make a masterpiece out of your work so they can be looked at both distances. Let's look at what Buck's been doing at the canvas. Bump, 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 bump. We have a prime canvas, green, oxide, and white. And then a light tracing or light drawing put on it. And then I started with a little burnt umber, thinned out, and slight amount of violet added into it over there. And that'll be a little bit of a help before we go ahead with this. We're going to use some colors that'll be towards the greens, a little bit of blues in that, and so the priming of the canvas will be a help, both in color and showing through a little bit clearly. Okay, going on, and I dedicate this program to dentists out there, regardless what you have for a patient, people or animals. Do you know there's animal dentists? That's great. We're going to be an animal art teacher. How about that? I'll teach some of you animals. Okay, let's take a look at the palette we have on the palette. This is for the sky. Green, phthalo green, and white, and then you add ochre into it. I keep saying ochre. That's yellow ochre. You understand what I'm saying, right? This is the same thing for the lower sky, but it has a little more white, and then you add a little extra yellow ochre. Up in the corner of the sky, to protect the top left corner, I have phthalo blue and black, equal parts, into a little white. That's the same thing that's in the water, but here it has less white in it. Foam is blue, black, and white, and just a little yellow ochre makes it slightly gray instead of being too blue, although that is blue. Here we have the trees, and as you look at the tree color, you see black and green, phthalo green equal parts, but you can see how it's intermixed with yellow ochre. So it's not a pure mixture, and I desire to get a little bit of the scintillating effect, coruscating effect for sunlight. Burnt umber that we put on the cliff, I will also use this for the trunk of the tree. Trees, there are three. And then we have a little bit of the white into it and a little violet, and that was the front of the cliff. For the highlight, sunlight on the cliffs, we'll have, this is yellow ochre and white with a little red, and then for the real highlights on the cliff, just yellow ochre and white. What about, gee, Buck, we're going to have to mix a little paint right out here before we get too far. This is going to be yellow ochre and white. This will be for the highlight on the foam, and you have the highlight kind of peeking down through as the sun's coming off from the right side of the canvas. And I'll say more about that as we get to the canvas. Okay, that's just mixing up a little yellow ochre and white. Nice you see things mixed once in a while before you. Oh, could I say one thing about the palette? I have mixed up a palette where I have all the formula right there. That's to save time. If I were mixing in the studio, I'd have colors around on the palette, and then as I mix it and dab around and I decide, oh, that's good. Now let's see, what did I do to get that? I do not adhere to the idea that you have the colors always in the same place. But I can argue both sides. I'd say do it so you paint and you don't even have to worry. You just hit the black, you hit the green and that. But I like where I don't know where they are. And then I look down and visually affected by some of the colors. So when they're a different place, I think, oh, that's the one I want, rather than being just tied to the rut. Do it both ways, either way, okay? But on our palette, for show purposes, we have them pre-mixed. Here we have a knife. You want to stay like that knife? I guess you can. You can either be that way, or you can be down like that, or you can be that way. Here we have a 1-inch brush, flat sable brush, the good bunny brush. Look at the long handle on that too. Here we have a mop brush, fan, bristle fan. This is, oh, badger. That's the word I wanted to use. Whoever was listening a couple weeks ago, that's what it was. That's a badger brush. And then a small round brush that will help for the branches. We've told you what the color on the canvas is. Chrome oxide, green and white. And I was working up there. Yeah, I said that. Okay, now watch this start. I'm going to dip into the magic white, and I'll come over and mix into my green and white and ochre. Why? Who am I? Why am I doing this? So I put the paint on very thin-like, but it's tinted. A head start. I know what it looks like on the palette before I ever get up here. Now as I put this on, I'll go thinly enough, that I go right over and still can see a little bit of the lines for the trees. I like that aspect where you can see those and still have the paint behind and over. That's a very close color. Well, not really, but it's in the same family as what was primed on the canvas, but it's lighter. It's in the green family, but it's lighter. Okay, now this needs to be done a little carefully so that you don't hit the clips too much. In fact, let's do this. Let's take the brush down that I was working with when you came on. This is the sable brush with a little violet. Let's go ahead and push this back up into the sky since we now can get an edge and leave it a little sharper. Isn't that a pretty color out there? I like that. It goes well with the green, and it'll go very well when you put the kind of golden orangish tone on. That's compatible colors. There's another word for that. What is the colors when they go next to each other? If you had a color wheel, I'd know. Complementary, I knew, see. It was written down at the bottom of the bucket there. Complementary. You're okay too, nice compliment. Okay, here we are, bottom of the sky. John Booth. Wasn't there a famous guy named John Booth? Okay, here we go, splash up. See that little golden tone? It's a little lighter and it has a little extra yellow ochre into it. And that's what we wanted to have, was something that's a little lighter so you get the kind of far away feeling at the lower part of the sky. Same brush. This is the big 1-inch brush. I'll clean this. Did it go that fast already? Shee. Okay, we're going right along here. And the top of the sky. Phthalo blue, black and white. Just a little bit, same brush. And watch what this does. You put it on, and then you're going to feather it out. See how little that is? But we feather it out, and it just protects the sky and sort of rounds it out slightly. That's what you say, protect the corner. Do we need any on the other side? We could use a little bit over there, although the tree is going to really be the dark in that spot. I'll take the blender brush without paint and softly feather. A little bit more refined blending is done with this brush. It very gently hits it. Okay, we'll put those brushes down clean, one at a time. You're first, and then you. Reminds me back in the olden days when we were growing up, we'd use the same bath water. Isn't that something? Boy, you used to draw straws to see who would get first. You got in there first, it was clean, and it was a little warmer. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, let's go with the next thing. Now let's take our trees. I'm going to take a round brush, and we'll come over. I'll pick up just a little bit of the white medium at the same time. Pick a little umber. The nice thing about the white medium, see, you don't change the color. You just make the consistency a little easier so you can work the wet on wet. Okay, here comes, watch how I use that small finger to kind of lean against the canvas. When you put these on, you go sort of curve-like. You know, if you're nervous, gee, that's good. Like that. And then we'll take this one, go a little dancing over this way. The whole thing to remember on branches of trees is that they taper. In other words, they're wider the lower they are, and they taper out and are smaller the further away. If you remember that rule, any tree you make is going to be a little better than if you didn't do it, even if you didn't know exactly what kind of tree it was. What kind of trees are these? These are sort of a cypress type tree, indigenous to the coast of Cambria. Boom. Just about made a change in my rule right there. And if they dip in, what am I saying? If they kind of flare out, that makes them kind of grow into the ground. Little one here, bends over this way. See, I can still make use of the little faint pencil showing, and it's kind of nice because I like the security of it, and yet I'm not tied to it. Let's go further up over here. Now, okay, now the next thing I'll do is go ahead and put some foliage on, Look at the right camera, Buck. I'm over here. Oh, hi, there you are. Okay, we'll use this dry brush. I have black and green. Look how dry that is. It's going to work. We'll just tap this on, splash it. Because I have so much paint on the brush, I'm going to go over and put a little bit on each area, getting rid of the heaviness of the paint, further wipe it, and then we can kind of work out into a little bit of character. This blends slightly with into the wet sky. Oops, you know what I'm going to do there? I'm going to wait just a minute because I'll put a cloud on and then it'll be easier to go with, put it on and then the cloud will appear as if it's behind the tree. Wouldn't that be something if the tree was the cloud was in front of the tree? That'd be a close cloud, wouldn't it? Everyone getting the idea, hug a tree. Here we have this one, comes over. These two are going right off the canvas. So you have one that's out there below the canvas. Therefore, it makes it a little more important. And these are less so as you lose the top edges. I'm going to go ahead and put the clouds in, and then I'll put the lighter light on the trees. For the cloud lights, I have the yellow, ochre, and white. This is almost too dark. This is what's going to go on the cliffs, and this is too light. So we'll make a little compromise. Put a little yellow, ochre, and white, but it's less light than the foam lights. Okay, this goes right against there. Oops, that's not quite light enough. We'll put a little extra more on. Just right. That's so easy to say because then you believe it. You believe it, say just right. You at home say, oh, well, whew, I didn't know he was going to get it just right, but he said it was just right. Make these blend in well with the wet paint underneath. See how nice and soft that is? Again, I'm looking at, this looks like a guy that's standing out there ready to pitch. You know what, when you throw this side, what you call it? Southpaw. You know what you throw this side? North paw. I don't know. I know it's southpaw, but I've never heard them say it north paw. Wonder why they don't. Okay, here comes over here. It's kind of a Duluth term. Duluth, Minnesota. I know somebody that lived in Duluth. Here, see the contrast against the blue up there? That's good. Okay, now this one, we'll have, just walk down a little bit. This looks like kind of a tiger, little head there, and it's got wheels. We'll take the same thing and come inside. This isn't so much character at clouds as we come on the inside, but it lightens the area. The sun is coming from off the right. When I say over there, it's probably about here, right about there. I think it's very effective when you show the results of without having to show the source of. Did you understand all that? If you just came into the room, you may not. But we didn't show the source of the sun, but we're showing the results of the sun. Okay, now I'm going to take the same fan brush, and we're going to come back to the tree foliage color that we were using. I'm choosing to use a little extra the yellow ochre now because we're going to go with a little lighter parts of it. This comes out and touch into that cloud, touch into this one, touch into there, and same thing here. Now with the sun coming this way, we need to be a little stronger there. I'll take a little bit of this golden tone, touch just a little bit. Now this has to come from the side. See, the sun's coming back over from the right side, so it's just a little lighter there. You can see slight difference. I don't have to have a lot of difference there. Some of the difference will come now as I take, wasn't there a twiggy brush here one day? Who needs a twiggy brush anyway? Don't need a twiggy brush. We'll use this round brush. The round brush, and we'll take some of the yellow, ochre, and white with a little red. This will come as a highlight on this side, see, just slightly, so you're not detracting from all the vitality that's going to be down below on the cliffs. And a little bit like that. Okay, now we'll put those brushes down, pick up the big brush. Could you focus someplace else while I go down into the water? I need to go down and pick up a brush. I found the twiggy brush. You didn't, oh, gee, that was fast. You probably wondered where it came from. What in the world? Where were you? Where y'all at, man? I had a cousin that went into the service, and when he came out, he chewed me out for not letting him know where my brother was. And he says, why didn't you rat to me? Okay, here comes yellow and white with a little blue black in it. Now watch this. This is again coating the canvas. See the difference between this green and that green? This is with yellow in it, and this is more with the blue-black in it. Ooh, this is pretty. It's kind of a, what kind of color is that? It's almost an aqua emerald. Use that brush, really whoosh it around. Now this has a little bit of the white medium into it as well, so that it thins out quickly, and I can work the dark into it and really control it. Sometimes I'll take a paper towel and just wipe back and forth so that I don't have too much paint on. You can kind of see the underneath. It's just right. Okay, now the dark color, which is water. Water is blue-black. And, oh, let me tell you about the water. Did I say it's blue-black? It's blue, black, and green, equal parts, and just a little white in it. Okay, I'll take this big brush. Look at this, blends in with that blender brush. Really pushing that around. Ooh, that is so soft and nice. Come over across here, you almost have the eye color there right now, don't we? It'd help if you could say yes. But since you can't, I'll assume that you mean yes. Some back in here. Come on back. Over in here, this is going to be nice. We'll use this all the way out to the distance, out to the horizon. Making good use of the priming of the canvas. See, that's all dry. Why is that dry? Because when I thinned out that light green color, I chose to leave that blank. Or accidentally left it so. Even going dark like this, I can still see what's going to be little pilings for a deck. Splash this up. When you put on splash up waves, which I haven't put on yet, but we'll be putting on, if you make them a little smaller, and then you can build them. And when you make them builder, you go right up into the dark, so you kind of see through a little bit. I'll show you that right now. Okay, let's take the fan brush, and here comes the foam color, which is blue, black, and white with just a touch of yellow ochre. Okay, now this is just filling in. But here's what I was saying, when you go a little past this, so you splash up. See that? You splash up because you cut it down, and then when you splash up, it's very airy. Splash around. That worked out real well, having that green work as the eye of the wave. That might have been an accident, but I like it. I don't see any, it wasn't an accident, it was on purpose. Okay, I didn't see any eye color on it, so that's what we were to have. Watch how you put those on and you make little wedges and a little directional type movements or shapes that give a feeling of movement. Splash over into there. That is a little generous, so I'll wipe just a little bit down. And because the underneath has a light soft green, you make a double help by making it thin, and it's already the color you want. It doesn't look weak when you make it thin, and that's a nice help. Splash up against the rocks. Splash up against the rocks. What do we have? 1, 2, 3. And the large one, we need to have another one back over in here. Splash. Ooh, I love that. I could just hug it, but it would come away painted. Well, sometimes you hug somebody wearing lipstick, you come away painted. So what's the difference? Where we got? Right, where are we going? Right here. Right there. And right there. Okay, that's a help, but I still have to put a little light on the rocks, the cliffs, before we put the total splash up, or it's going to be hard to work behind them. Take the knife. Come over. This is yellow, ochre, and white with red. That nice color? We splash this up because the sun is just peeking around. The sun is just hitting that front edge. It's sort of boop, 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 boop along the edge there. Here we go. This, and then this splash. See your different angles that you put these on with? Ah, great. Now I'll blend that a little bit with the blender, the bunny brush. Follow me, bunny. Soften, and when I'm saying softening, The umber is wet, and then you're softening into that. And then we'll come back with, let's do a little bit of dark. This is burnt umber, and I'll just put this in to kind of draw right inside for some little shapes that I may not have had because I've lost them a little bit, that's why. Okay, now we can come with the lighter light. The lighter light is the yellow, ochre, and white. And see the next door neighbor? See how much lighter he is than that? You need to get some tan. Okay, this will be my highlight. And as we have said other times, when you put the highlight on, you have to put on less, or you get to put on less. It doesn't do... Okay, now that's a good impact. We can put a little bit of impact up here, and I'm going to use the same knife. Let's come over and take a little bit of this light green. This will give us a little feeling of foliage on the cliff. Well, it's actually land up above the cliff, the growing foliage. Okay, we'll now come down. Let's kind of do a foam pattern before we do the highlights. Okay, here's some of the, what is that called? White medium. And let's take some blue. This is a foam color, so we're adding just a little white medium to it. Now watch these. See how they go along? Ride very gently. Eat your heart out, Bob Warren. These are foam patterns, Bob Warren. You know that guy. He's so good. He'll get even. Watch him. He's a good artist. Okay, these go on with the same nice flow. See the direction they go? Can you get sort of a close-up on this? I'll put another one in here. Just a little bit of curve. Sometimes you call them U's, E's. Anytime you do this, you watch out of the corner of your eye. If they're getting to be too much the same shape, not shape, well, that's what I'm saying. See, if I had a couple down very repetitious like that, well, they're all the same size, so you better then widen a couple. Okay, we'll put a few more of these over in here, and we need to put some real light ones on. The real light ones are going to be eventually our lightest light. Here's some more than me. Ooh, come on over here. Make yourself to home. This is the yellow, ochre, and white, which we'll eventually put on for the lightest light up on the foam, but right now it's going to be a foam pattern that's very light to start with. See how that flows? That's just catching a little bit of the light peeking across there. Ooh, that's strong. I didn't say wrong, I said strong. Yes, strong. Sign the one that says I love you again, would you? I like when you say that. That's the one. Thank you, Jennifer. You're a good floor director. Okay, we'll take and put a little bit of the light down closely against this dock. And you say, what dock? I'll show you what dock. I have to do that kind of fast, like we don't have a lot of time left here. What do we have? Little gray. Let's throw this on right in here. Then I'll take the same brush with burnt umber. Watch this. Boom, a piling. Second piling. Third piling. Third and a half piling. Take a twiggy brush, and I'm using a little bit of the terps on this so that it flows very freely. And I'll come along here, watch that, zoom, and then the little thin board division lines. Just like that. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know if you'd want to stand on that dock, but it'd be a nice place if it was secure. I don't know how secure it is. Let's take and blend this just a slight bit. What I'm really showing you here is kind of the technique. You need to take the time and make it just a little bit more refined. Some more of these foam patterns, of course, will go out back. I don't think I'll do it. I'll just put a couple on. Just a couple on in here. But you would put several on that would continue on back like that. See, that's only a semblance of what's been shown to you a little more carefully down below. Okay, now we'll take, as our sort of finale, we need to put some highlight on. This is yellow, ochre, and white. We just used it to show you some of the lighter foam patterns, but this is now the big foam. And what do? We are a little selective how much we put on, because why? Because the light isn't hitting all of it equally. A little bit in there, a little bit in here, a little bit in there. Come back here close to the bank. It's always nice to be close to the bank. Okay, I need to blend that slightly with a bunny brush. Just gently, just gently. I have to have another minute, John, in the booth. Whew, splash. This is a fun one to do. You can see how much help it was working the wet on the wet paint. Okay, how are we doing on time? We got just 25 seconds left, 30 seconds left? Oh, we're in business. Let me repeat. I've given you a little semblance of what to do, but you need to go all the way through on that. Now let me make a last point as I'm kind of working over here a little bit. As you paint, there is no way that you can keep yourself out of a painting.